Last night, a $2 billion guided missile destroyer fired $4.3 million in interceptor missiles to stop $78,000 worth of Iranian drones. And the drones still got through. The USS Carney, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, was operating in the northern Arabian Sea when her AN Spy-1D radar system detected multiple contacts inbound from the northeast. The Combat Information Center classified them immediately: low altitude, slow speed, small radar cross-section. Shahed-136 drones, Iranian-manufactured loitering munitions, each one carrying a 40-kilogram warhead and programmed to strike ships, coastal installations, or any other target in their flight path. The count climbed rapidly: 40 contacts, 60, 100, 180. The radar screen filled with threat indicators converging on the destroyer's position from multiple vectors. This wasn't a probing attack. This was saturation. 240 drones, launched simultaneously from coastal sites across southern Iran, flying in coordinated waves designed to overwhelm the ship's defensive systems. The Carney's commanding officer ordered full defensive posture. The ship's vertical launch system came online. Missile hatches opened. Fire control radar locked onto priority targets. The first SM-2 Standard missile launched with a roar, accelerating toward the nearest drone cluster. Then another, and another. The sequence continued, one missile every 8 seconds, each round streaking into the night sky trailing exhaust. Each SM-2 missile costs approximately $2.1 million. It's designed to intercept aircraft, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles at ranges exceeding 150 kilometers. Using it against a $20,000 drone is like shooting a mosquito with a rifle. But when 240 mosquitoes are heading toward your ship, you use what you have. The mathematics of the engagement were brutal from the start. The Carney carried 96 vertical launch system cells, but not all of those cells could be allocated to air defense. Modern destroyers must maintain a balanced loadout: Tomahawk cruise missiles for land attack, anti-ship missiles for surface warfare, anti-submarine rockets. Defensive systems are critical, but they're not the only mission. On a typical deployment, an Arleigh Burke destroyer might carry 40 to 50 SM-2 interceptors. The rest of the magazine is reserved for offensive operations. The Carney had 48 SM-2 missiles available for air defense, 48 rounds to engage 240 targets. The engagement lasted 12 minutes. 34 missiles were launched. 18 drones were destroyed. The remaining 222 continued inbound, adjusting their flight paths to avoid the debris of their destroyed counterparts. Some flew lower, skimming just above the wavetops to evade radar detection. Others climbed slightly, spreading out to attack from multiple angles simultaneously. The ship's phalanx close-in weapon system engaged next, a 6-barreled 20mm Gatling gun capable of firing 4,500 rounds per minute. Designed as the last line of defense against incoming missiles and aircraft. The system locked onto the nearest drones and opened fire, streams of tracer rounds arcing across the dark sky. The phalanx is fully automated, radar-guided, and devastatingly effective at close range. It destroyed 11 more drones before its ammunition drums ran dry. 29 drones destroyed total. 211 still inbound. The first impacts came at A247. 3 drones struck the Carney's superstructure within seconds of each other. The explosions were small compared to anti-ship missiles, but the cumulative effect was severe. Radar arrays were damaged. Communication antennas were destroyed. Fire broke out on the aft deck. Damage control teams deployed immediately, fighting flames and sealing breaches while the attack continued. More drones struck the hull, the flight deck, the forward gun mount. Each impact sent shrapnel and debris across the ship. Electronics failed. Systems went offline. The Carney was not sinking, but she was hurt, and she had expended nearly all of her defensive ammunition trying to stop an attack that cost Iran less than $5 million to execute. At first light, the damage assessment was sobering: 12 dead, 31 wounded, significant structural damage to the superstructure. Radar systems operating at reduced capacity. The ship remained afloat and under power, but she was no longer combat effective. She would need to return to port for repairs that would take weeks, possibly months. But this was not an isolated incident. It was a demonstration of a new kind of warfare, one where the economics worked entirely in Iran's favor. Iranian defense industries produced Shahed-136 drones at a reported rate of 50 units per day. The manufacturing process is relatively simple: a small turbojet engine, basic GPS navigation, a modest warhead, and rudimentary control electronics. No advanced stealth technology, no sophisticated guidance systems, just enough capability to fly to a target and explode on impact. Unit cost, approximately $20,000. 50 drones per day equals $1.5 million in daily production costs. A manageable expense for a nation under sanctions but still capable of maintaining a domestic military-industrial base. The United States, by contrast, does not manufacture weapons designed to counter this specific threat at scale. The SM-2 missile was developed in the 1970s to engage Soviet bombers and cruise missiles. It's effective, but it's expensive, and it's not designed for drone swarms. The Navy has newer systems in development, but they're not deployed fleet-wide yet. For now, the standard response to a drone attack is to use what's available, and what's available costs $2.1 million per shot. The cost imbalance is staggering. Iran can launch 240 drones for $4.8 million. The United States fires back with missiles worth $71.4 million, and still doesn't stop the attack. Even if every interceptor hit its target, which they didn't, the economics don't work, and this is before considering the logistics of resupply. Every SM-2 missile fired by the Carney has to be replaced. That means pulling missiles from stockpiles, loading them onto supply ships, transporting them across thousands of miles of ocean, and transferring them to the destroyer at sea. Each missile weighs over 1,500 pounds. Each one requires careful handling and storage. The process takes time, resources, and coordination. Iran, meanwhile, can produce replacement drones faster than the US Navy can replenish its missile inventory. And they can do it in-country without relying on complex global supply chains. The strategic implications extend beyond this single engagement. If Iran can force US destroyers to expend their air defense magazines on cheap drones, those ships become vulnerable to real threats. Anti-ship cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, manned aircraft. The defensive systems that protect carrier strike groups and amphibious ready groups depend on having enough interceptors in the magazine to handle multiple waves of attacks over sustained periods. If the magazine runs dry stopping drones, there's nothing left for the next threat. The Pentagon is aware of this problem. Directed energy weapons, specifically high-energy lasers, are being developed as a counter to drone swarms. A laser system can engage targets at the speed of light, with effectively unlimited ammunition as long as the ship has electrical power. The cost per shot is measured in dollars, not millions. It's the perfect solution, but it's not ready. The Navy has tested laser systems on a handful of ships. The technology works, but integrating it fleet-wide, training crews, and ensuring reliability in combat conditions will take years. Right now, across the entire U.S. naval presence in the Middle East, there are perhaps 3 or 4 ships equipped with operational laser defense systems, and each laser has an effective range of about 2 kilometers, meaning it can only engage drones in the final seconds before impact. A swarm of 200 drones attacking from multiple directions simultaneously can overwhelm even a laser-equipped ship. The system can only track and engage one target at a time in most configurations. 200 targets arriving within a 30-second window means the laser might destroy 6 or 7 drones. The rest get through. Iran understands this. Their drone tactics are built around the concept of mass. Launch enough drones from enough directions and some will always penetrate the defenses. It doesn't matter if 90% are destroyed. The 10% that survive are enough to cause mission-critical damage. The economic model is sustainable for Iran. They're not trying to sink US warships outright. They're trying to force the Navy into a spending trap. Every drone swarm costs Iran $5 million. Every defensive response costs the United States $80 to $120 million, and every successful attack forces a ship out of the operational theater for repairs, reducing U.S. naval presence without Iran needing to commit submarines, surface ships, or aircraft. 2 nights after the attack on the Carney, another destroyer, the USS Laboon, detected inbound drones, 190 contacts. The ship went to full alert, launched interceptors, engaged with guns, and managed to destroy 31 drones before the rest struck home. Damage was lighter this time, 8 crew wounded. Moderate structural damage. But again, the magazine was nearly empty. The ship had to withdraw. Iranian state media reported both engagements as victories, emphasizing the low cost and high effectiveness of the drone strikes. The messaging was deliberate. We can do this every night. You cannot afford to stop us every night. At CENTCOM headquarters, planners ran the numbers. If Iran maintained drone strikes at this tempo, the Navy would need to triple its missile resupply operations just to keep destroyers armed. That would strain logistics networks already stretched thin supporting operations across multiple theaters. It would also drain stockpiles needed for potential conflicts with near-peer adversaries. China is watching. Russia is watching. They're seeing the same math. Alternative strategies were considered. Could destroyers move further offshore, beyond the range of Iranian drones? Yes, but that would reduce their ability to project power into the region, which defeats the purpose of having them there in the first place. Could Air Force assets intercept the drones before they reach the ships? Possibly, but that would require maintaining constant combat air patrols over vast areas of ocean, an expensive and resource-intensive commitment. The only real solution is technological. Deploy laser systems fleet-wide. Develop new interceptors specifically designed for drone defense, with lower unit costs and higher magazine capacity. Integrate artificial intelligence into fire control systems to improve engagement efficiency. All of these solutions are in development. None of them are operational at scale yet. In the meantime, Iran continues to produce drones, 50 per day, 1,500 per month, 18,000 per year. The production capacity exists, the economic incentive is clear, and the tactical advantage is proven. On the sixth night, radar detected another swarm, 220 drones. The USS Porter, an Arleigh Burke destroyer that had just arrived in theater with a full magazine, prepared to engage. The crew knew the math, they knew the odds, they knew that even if they performed perfectly, the magazine would be depleted and the ship would likely take damage, but there was no alternative. The mission required presence. Presence required defense. Defense required firing missiles that cost more than the threats they were designed to stop. The first SM-2 launched at 0314. The cycle continued, and somewhere on the Iranian coast, workers in a factory were assembling the next batch of drones, ready to repeat the process tomorrow night. Mathematics doesn't favor the defender. Not anymore.